Hi, I'm Alan, and I'm driven to know. Today I'm going to tell you about my visit to Noll Cemetery. Today I did something different. I went on location to Noll Cemetery on Farm Market Road 237, about 15 miles northwest of Victoria, Texas. Elisa and I had run across this cemetery about 15 years ago when we were out looking at wildflowers. We haven't been back since. But while I was out driving my truck around, I decided to find it again. I wanted to take some pictures and post them to a Facebook group I'm in called Beautiful Old Cemeteries. I then decided to use the pictures to make a video to show you because I've always liked cemeteries. They're usually pretty, and no one's going to bother you in one. If you're there, most people figure you're there because you're mourning and don't want someone to bother you, so they leave you alone. Now just a real brief history of Noll Cemetery. Valentin Noll was a German immigrant who bought the land in Mission Valley sometime before 1860. His son Joseph donated 2 acres of land in 1893 for a free community school. One of those acres was set aside for a cemetery. Jacob Dentler was the first burial in 1894. The graveyard contains 17 burials, including Dentler, mentioned earlier, as well as members of the Noll, Price, and other family members of the Dentler family. The one-room school building was removed from the site in 1919, so it's not there anymore. Here we're looking at the Historical Commission marker that was placed in 1977 that contains much of the information I gave earlier. Here's an overview of the graves, looking at it from my right with my back to the road. I was not really able to figure out who these 2 graves belonged to. I couldn't read what was on the little stones at the feet nor on the large marker. This is the Price family. They had a very impressive grave marker and a fence, but the fence is largely in disrepair. Here's a Price child who was apparently born and died immediately afterwards, or at least not long, and another Price child. The 2 of them are together in the cemetery. It's always sad when little kids die. And here we have Joseph Noll and his wife Magdalena, who were the people who donated the land. And then Anna Noll, her marker's all in German, so she must be an older lady. And then another Noll, whose marker is all in German as well. An older lady who lived a very long time. And another Noll whose memory is in English as opposed to German. And it's interesting how some of these are different. Now here we have Dentler, Jacob Dentler Jr. I was not able to find or figure out which one was Jacob Dentler Sr. Here we have a baby boy, Dentler, and a baby girl, Dentler. Don't know what they died from or when. There's no information that I could find. And here's a rusted out grave tag that doesn't really say anything anymore that I can read. And here's a view looking out towards the road, and as you can see there's a lot of shadow because of the time of day. That made some of the graves hard to read. This one that's in the center between Price and the first Dentler, I wasn't able to figure out who they were. That's the folks that I mentioned earlier. Here we are on the far right-hand side of the cemetery again. And this pretty much ends our tour of Noll. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If so, like and subscribe below. Also, if I'm going to pay the bills, please support me on PayPal in the pinned comments below. I'm Alan Coffey, and I'm driven to know. And you be too.